Welcome, everyone. This is episode 3 of Lakeshore Christian Church's weekly video podcast. I'm Pastor Randy Cordell, and we're coming to you live from our studio at our Antioch campus here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. Each week on the podcast, we plan to talk about all things Lakeshore, try to keep people up to date on all the happenings here at the church and in the community. And we'll have special guests that we invite to come in to interview, and occasionally we'll have a guest host for the podcast as well. And we are encouraging you to subscribe if you haven't done so already. You can hit that notification button too, so you get reminders of when the podcast is coming up. We love to have you join us and invite others to come and join us as well. It's a great midweek connection for us. Well, I'm happy to welcome this week's special guest to the podcast, Dr. Lindsey Judd, president of Ezel Harding Christian School here in Antioch. It's just a short distance from our campus. Welcome, Lindsey. It's great to have you today.
Thank you, Pastor Randy. Glad to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, you know, Ezel has a special place in our heart. Our family's had close ties to Ezel Harding Christian School since we moved here in 1991. When we made the move, we examined the different options for our kids for school, and we had some other members here at Lakeshore that had their kids at Ezel, and it looked like the best option for us. So I'm so thankful we were able to have that school here for our children. Our daughter is an alumni, and her daughter as well, our granddaughter Randy, and I currently serve on the board of directors, and I'm honored to do that. We just love and appreciate the school so much here. Well, Lindsey, I'd like for you to tell us a little bit, first of all, about yourself and your family.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I just made me think when you said you're on the board of directors, you've been a great addition to the school. And I know, like you said, your family's had a great relationship with the school, and to have you in our leadership group has been a huge blessing for the school, especially as we've been growing. And so thank you for your service and your willingness to do that.
Thank you.
Well, I grew up in West Virginia, about 6 hours from Nashville. I'm from a very large family. My parents had 8 children and adopted 13 more.
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
So there you go. You're learning something new about me, which it could be a whole nother podcast in and of itself.
It could. Yeah.
And so I'm number 6 in my family. So just always been around a lot of children, and just grew up in a very loving family. I came to Lipscomb University in the mid-'90s. That's how I got to Nashville.
Okay.
And I did not know anyone when I came to Nashville. I came here by myself and enrolled in school, ended up playing soccer at Lipscomb for 3 years. Had a great experience playing soccer at Lipscomb. And then when I graduated, got a job as the head soccer coach and chemistry teacher at Good Pasture Christian School on the north side of town. And I taught for 5 years before I became high school principal there, and served there for 12 years in that role. And then in my last 5 years, I've served as the president of Ezel, and it's been a great experience. Again, came to Ezel Harding. I knew of the school, obviously, with its relationship with Good Pasture, and being able to play them in different sports and things like that, and then knew some people through church. But didn't really have a whole lot of knowledge of the school when I came, but it's been a tremendous blessing as we've continued to make an impact in Southeast Nashville. I met my wife in Washington, D.C. I was on a chaperone on a field trip, and her brother was a student on the field trip, and she lived in D.C. and was working there, and she came to meet her brother on the bus one day, and that's how we met.
And the rest of the story.
The rest of the story is history, and so we were married in 2007. We have 2 children, Harper and Lincoln. They're 10 and 8 and keep us very busy.
Yeah.
And
that age children will certainly keep you hopping.
yes.
And my wife Sue Ann, and I know your wife Penny, and I can say you're in the same boat I am. We both married up.
Yes.
Big time.
Definitely.
So, yeah. So I know that's been a real blessing for you, and she's a real blessing to the school and the community as well. We appreciate her so much.
Thank you.
I didn't realize it's 5 years now. That's great.
Just finished my 5th year, and it started here in 2017 in the spring. And it's been a blessing to me and my family as we have learned this community and really learned the Ezel Harding family and gotten to meet a lot of. You don't realize how many Ezel Harding alumni there are in Nashville. Yeah. Everywhere you turn, you start talking to people, and they either know of an Ezel Harding graduate or they're in their business or something along those lines. But our graduates have been very successful and been great to learn about them and our community and get to know them better.
Well, that's great. as I said, Ezel has really blessed, I think, the community over the years in a great way. I think it adds great value to our community to have that school here. And I know the good job you've done in those 5 years, and that's one reason I love being on the board of directors, is I know the direction of the school is in good hands, as we're going the right direction at the school, and you're a big part of that. You and your staff have just done an excellent job of getting the school headed in the right way, I believe, for the future of the school.
Thank you.
It's always had a great legacy here, and I think that's going to continue under your leadership, so we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the history of Ezel. I know a lot of people, if you've lived here a long time, probably know, but tell us a little bit about the history of the school, its origins, and how it's progressed over the years.
Sure. Well, first of all, next year is our 50th year, so we are super excited about celebrating 50 years in Southeast Nashville and the impact that we've made on the community, and sharing how God has really blessed our school over 50 years with our students, with our faculty, with our parents, just everybody in this community. So it's been pretty exciting. Again, my experience personally has been over 5 years, but just being able to learn of our former faculty and former students and hear such things. We started 50 years ago in the basement of Tusculum Church of Christ.
Oh, wow.
And so that first year was not on the current campus, but the second year was. The current elementary building was the first building built, and from there, 49 years later, here we are as we look at all the progress that's been made on campus. A lot of people aren't familiar with, it's funny when you give somebody a tour that's never been to Ezel Harding, they walk through the front door and we walk through the classrooms in the hallway, and then when we walk to the back part of campus, they say, I never knew this was even back here, because you can't see it from the street level. Yeah. And they don't realize that we sit on multiple acres with full athletic facilities and multiple academic buildings on campus. We are 2 years old through 12th grade across campus, which is pretty neat, because I can go get a hug from a 2-year-old on one end of campus and then go walk through and see seniors in high school just a couple buildings away on a daily basis. And so the school has just been a blessing to so many in our community, and to watch what is happening in Antioch and in Southeast Nashville right now. It's neat to think how Ezel was here in what I would call old Antioch, and thriving then. And then as the area has changed and a lot of things have been developed, to watch it now thrive in the new Antioch. Yeah. Both you and I were there at the Tanger Outlets groundbreaking a few weeks ago, and to see the neat plans that are going on right there next to I-24, and to know that Ezel Harding is going to be a part of that story as they begin building a new community right there. Yeah, it's been pretty exciting to be a part of.
It is. I know I've had the honor of being here at Lakeshore for a long time, and seen a lot of that cycle that we've gone through. Not 50 years like Ezel, but 31 years I've been here at Lakeshore.
Congratulations. And
seeing all the changes, but I have found that, Lakeshore being stable and consistent during that time helps us have more of an impact. And Ezel's consistency in their presence and consistency in their commitments to the students and their families, that longevity makes a big difference too.
It does. And you think about it, both of our institutions are Christian institutions. Yeah. And you've got to think that God has a hand in keeping our institutions going and being stable in a community, even when things change and businesses come and go. And even a mall, one of the most popular malls that's been changing recently, but to have institutions, churches, schools that profess who God is. One of the things we've been talking about a lot at Ezel Harding is that we're fueled by faith, and that it is the foundation for every single thing we do, whether we're playing football or whether we're teaching math or preschool. The foundation of every single thing we're doing at school is fueled by faith. It's our belief in God. It's our reliance on His Word and the Bible, and being able to teach from a Christian worldview, and to think about 31 years and 50 years. I just can't help but think that God is working through our institutions.
Yeah, I believe that totally. And One of the things I've always loved about Ezel is the vision of educating the whole student using that biblical approach, teaching students to love God with every aspect of what makes them human. I believe on your website you have this, that their heart through the arts, their soul through their faith, their mind through their academics, and their body through athletics. Yes. It's the whole person. And we saw that with our children at Ezel and our granddaughter there, where it was preparing them in every aspect of life for their future, both here on earth and for eternity. Yes. And, I want parents to know that option is out there. It's not, not every school's the right fit for every person. We know that, yes. but at least take a look at that. I think in our world today, I think more parents are looking for something like that for their children, and I'm glad that Ezel is out there as one of those options. Tell us a little bit more then about well, you mentioned 2-year-olds through high school. I think the preschool program has been much needed in the area, and I'm glad you've developed I think it's called Stepping Stones, right? Program.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that, how that's grown.
Sure. And I want to piggyback on what you just said a minute ago, because our mission statement says helping each student realize the full potential that God has instilled in him or her. Yeah. And just this whole thought process of potential, what God has instilled in them, and us helping them realize that. And so everybody has different talents. We're blessed in different ways. You have the talent of speaking and evangelizing and preaching and being a minister, all things that God has blessed you with that you've been able to nurture. And we hope that as a school, as our students show us their individual talents, that we can help them realize how to use those to glorify who God is. And so, some of those are athletics or fine arts, or they're very strong academically. I think the neat thing about Ezel Harding is you can be a part of as many things as you want to be a part of. We have athletes that are also in our musical. Right. We have our valedictorian who also might be on the bowling team. We have a step team this year that's been a great addition to the school, right, under Miss Cannon. And just watching them, 20 middle school and elementary school students really use their talents, where there's discipline involved and there's teamwork involved. And we've been able to show them off to a lot of different groups. It's been pretty exciting. But, you can come to Ezel Harding as a 2-year-old and stay your entire career, which is, we have some students that do that. We have students that come in, starting in the 9th grade. We've had our largest growth this past year that we've had in 20 years. Wow. And so that's been very exciting from our student body-wise. But we're trying to help our students grow. This is a hard world. Every year seems to be something else that's thrown at our children, and they are having to live a very complicated life that has a lot of questions, has a lot of confusion. There's just so many things thrown at them on a daily basis that wasn't even thrown at me when I was younger, and it's just different. And we hope that Ezel Harding provides, number one, a safe place, number two, a place where people can be themselves, but also grow in who God wants them to be. And we feel like there's purpose in that, and there's truth in that. It's not just whatever somebody thinks, that we rely on the Scripture as to what God says we should be and who we should be, and we want our children to be able to grow through that. Absolutely. Yeah, talking about the challenges, I know I was at the graduation this year, as I was the year before, and we're talking about the classes that went through COVID, that are graduating. There have been other things throughout, 50 years. There's been a lot of challenges through that time. But I want to brag on you and your staff, your teachers, everybody there, and the students that just pivoted and adapted and worked through that. And I saw great growth and good things coming even out of the middle of having to deal with COVID there. Yes. Well, we have a phenomenal group of teachers. They're really the heart of the school. I tell our teachers they are the ones that make the most difference on campus. My role, I don't necessarily get to be in the classroom. I don't get to be someone that has that personal relationship with every single student. But our teachers, in some cases, have 70 or 80 students in a day. But you think about an elementary teacher, how 20 students in their classroom, how deep and intimate that relationship is with those students, and they are the ones making the difference. And they've done a fantastic job. You think about COVID, we went from traditional face-to-face learning in March of 2020. I'll tell you how smart I am. On the Friday before spring break, we decided to take Friday off so that we could let COVID pass through over spring break. We thought, let's take one additional day.
Yeah.
We'll do one additional day, and that way when we get back, it'll be gone. And little do we know, we didn't come back to campus that year. And our teachers went from face-to-face learning to online learning in about 3 days.
Wow.
And did it as good as you can possibly do it.
Yeah.
And so our teachers are phenomenal. We're blessed with great administrators. We have a great administrative team. And really, I think our success has been because from our board of directors down, everybody's really poured into the school and really helping the school go in a direction it needs to go. And we've been able to see the results of that. But it really starts with our teachers in the classroom. They've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, they have. I know a lot of them. I don't know them all really well, but I know a lot of them, and I've just been so impressed with everyone that I know that teaches there. And when we look at the school and the area over those 50 years, especially in recent years, there's been a real transformation of diversity in the area. Mm-hmm. And honestly, some churches, some schools, some organizations just haven't responded well or handled that very well. But I'm totally impressed with how Ezel has embraced that.
Yes.
If you visit the school, you can't help but notice that immediately, the diversity that's there at the school. And without compromising anything on, in fact, really in living out and enhancing your biblical teachings and foundations, you embrace the diversity and move forward with that. And I just love seeing the unity among the diversity there at the school. It's fun to watch that.
And we think it's one of our biggest blessings is that we have a diverse student body. God made all of us in his image.
Absolutely.
And although you and I look different in certain ways, me and another person might look different in certain ways, but God made us in his image. And I don't completely understand what that means. But I know that he's our creator and that he put all of us here on this earth for a purpose. And we are excited that we can bring different cultures together, different students and families that look different from each other together, and teach them in a way that, again, has a Christian worldview that our students can go out into the world and be ready to encounter whoever they encounter.
Right.
And whatever they look like, they're going to be used to working with different groups of people. It's just the thing that makes Ezel Harding unique, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen growth is because we've embraced the diversity. And even the last few years where so many times that word gets used in a negative way, or there's cultural things that happen that promote divisiveness. Like you just said, if you walk on our campus, I think you will see unity and kids wanting other students to thrive and loving each other. And so that's a pretty exciting thing to be a part of.
It is. I just feel that on campus every time I'm there. And I love that I get invited regularly to speak at chapels and things like that. And boy, I love doing that. It helps keep me connected to and in tune with a whole nother generation of young people coming along. And I know they probably look at me as an ancient old man, but I still love getting in there.
You do a great job. You do a great job.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I was putting that out there, seeing what feedback I could get, but I appreciate it. Well, Lakeshore has partnered with Ezel in a lot of different ways, and we want to continue to do that. Over the years, we've recently hosted the baccalaureate for this senior class, and then we hosted the fine arts program here at our auditorium. And, man, we just love that partnership because we think we are part of the same kingdom work.
Yes.
We look at it that way. And why not work together, right?
Exactly
We've got the same ultimate goal of helping people know and follow Jesus and fulfill that purpose he has for their lives. So
it's been a huge blessing for us to be able to do things here at Lakeshore. Like you said, I think that we are all on the same path and trying to do the same thing in this community. You know, we were able to have a fine arts night where we had hundreds of people here and
packed the house, man. It was fun.
We had to pull out more chairs multiple times. I didn't think we'd ever get everybody seated, but it was a good night. And you know, again, I think that's the uniqueness of Ezel, where we are able to have programs like that showcase our students, We're returning to 11-man football this year, which is a pretty exciting thing. Yeah. Our new coach, Corey, and the team that he's put together have just brought a lot of excitement to the school and to that program, and so we're excited about venturing back into 11-man football this fall. There's just a lot of good programs and positive things going on. All the way from sports to fine arts to academics to the spiritual life. It's just a pretty exciting time to be part of the school.
It is, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. They think of maybe a smaller private Christian school and don't realize what all is offered there for their kids. It's a full program of every aspect of development for that child that you can think of, and I'm so glad that Ezel is able to offer that. We've got a lot of families here whose kids are going to Ezel, and I get great feedback from them. They love the school, and a couple of them didn't know I was on the board, so they were attending the graduation. You had the board stand up, and they said, "Oh, there's Pastor Randy."
The secret's out.
Right,
the secret's out.
That's good. Well, if we've got listeners interested in finding out more about the school and the best ways for them to check it out, what would you tell them? What's the best way for them to go about that right now?
The best way is to go to our website at ezelharding.com and click on admissions, and then we will get you. We have 3 or 4 tours a day right now where we've got students coming in, again, at all levels. We have students coming in for our preschool program, for our lower school, middle school, and high school. We expect to have somewhere between 100 and 125 new students on campus next year.
Wow.
And so that's a pretty exciting time. But ezelharding.com is the best way to get in touch. Our admissions directors, Corey Stewart and Lisa Phillips, are fantastic, and they'll give you a tour of the school, let you meet our principals, let you meet our coaches and our guidance counselors and different people that will help. School's a little bit different in the summertime because we were just waxing the floors and there's furniture everywhere and there's the stuff off the walls all taken down, but it's still, we can give you some pretty good excitement as you come and tour.
That's great. I know during the year, several times during the year, you do an open house as well. I'd like for them to get there this summer, though, so they can get ready for the fall if they want to bring their kids there. But even during the year later on, they could maybe attend one of those as well.
Definitely. We do open tours, so we do, again, a tour almost every day. And so once we schedule that, we'd love to meet you and learn more about you and let you show how Ezel Harding can impact your family.
Right. Corey and Lisa do a great job with that, too, so that's really good. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us today. It's always good to spend some time with you, and we love you and your family and appreciate all that you do. So thanks for being my guest again today.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite, and thank you again for everything you do here and everything you've done for Ezel Harding Christian School.
Thanks, man. Well, we want to invite you to join us here at Lakeshore on Sunday mornings as well. We are continuing a message series that we're in right now called Discipling Our Sexuality. It's been an interesting conversation. Yes, Pastor Randy has been talking about sex at church, and you can come and we're finishing up the series this coming Sunday. And over the past few weeks, we've talked about how oftentimes the message we're getting about our sexuality from the culture around us doesn't line up well at all with what God's Word has to say about it. And that can be confusing if you're not really hearing the other side of that and what the Scriptures really say. But a couple of weeks ago, we talked about that sometimes, even if you're raised in church or in religious circles, even what you hear there sometimes may not be presented in a way that's in the spirit of what Jesus had to say about this in His Word. We need to be talking about this in the church because, honestly, God's the originator. He's the planner, the designer of our sexuality, and He knows how it works best. This final week is going to be essential. If you've missed any of these in the series, please go back to our YouTube channel and catch the ones that you missed. They all work together. They all build on each other. And this final one is going to be a message of hope. We all have some brokenness in this area of our lives, some failures, some shortcomings, not just in our sexuality, but in every part of our lives. But God specializes in bringing healing and redemption and restoration. So this is going to be a message of hope, and I want to encourage you to come and bring others with you for this message of hope this week. I also want to encourage you, if you're part of our church family or you want to invite others to come as well, to register and attend our summer celebration at Camp YI. It's going to be on Saturday, August the 6th. We started this last year, a summer celebration like that, toward the end of the summer. We just think it's a good time for both campuses to get together and have a time of fun out at the camp. There'll be swimming, and There'll be water slides. There'll be indoor and outdoor games, fishing, all kinds of fun activities. And you can register on our website at lakeshorechristian.com or on the kiosk here at either campus when you're here for our services. We want you to invite family, friends, coworkers, and join us as we continue to connect, grow, and serve here at Lakeshore Christian Church. Thank you for joining us today.